There is a difference between being nice and being kind. Too many people confuse the two, and as a result, they shrink themselves, overextend their time, and lose their own voice just to make others comfortable. But let me tell you something. Being too nice is not a virtue, it's a liability. And in 2025, you can't afford to let it hold you back any longer. Think about this. How many times have you said yes when you wanted to say no? How many times have you put others first at the expense of your own well-being? How often have you avoided difficult conversations just to keep the peace, only to feel unheard and undervalued? People-pleasing is a trap. People-pleasing isn't kindness, it's fear. It's the fear of rejection, of being disliked, of not being enough. And that fear makes you too accommodating, too agreeable, too passive. The truth is, when you're too nice, you attract the wrong kind of people. People who take advantage of your willingness. People who see your generosity as weakness. But let me tell you this. Nice people get overlooked. Kind people get respected. And the difference, boundaries. Respect comes from strength, not submissiveness. People respect those who respect themselves. That means standing firm in your values, speaking up when necessary, and not bending to every request just because you're afraid of upsetting someone. Do you want to know what happens when you stop being too nice? You stop being the person that others expect you to be, and you start becoming the person you were meant to be. And that makes people uncomfortable. Because when you start valuing yourself, you stop giving away your time, energy, and attention so easily. Your time and energy are precious. Being too nice often means being too available. But ask yourself, are the people you're constantly showing up for you in return? If not, then maybe it's time to reconsider where you invest your time. Your energy is your most valuable resource. Spend it wisely. Being unavailable doesn't make you a bad person and makes you someone with priorities. And in 2025, priorities matter more than ever. Tough conversations build stronger connections. One of the biggest reasons people stay too nice is that they fear conflict. They avoid confrontation, keep their opinions to themselves, and agree with things they don't believe in just to keep relationships intact. But let me ask you this. Are those relationships truly strong if they can't withstand honesty? The strongest connections are built on truth, not avoidance. It's okay to say, I disagree. It's okay to set boundaries. It's okay to have standards for how you expect to be treated. The right people will understand and respect that. Success requires boldness, not just niceness. Look at the people you admire, the ones who have built something, created impact, and made a difference. They are not afraid to stand up, to speak out, and to demand what they deserve. They didn't get to where they are by being excessively nice. They got there by being bold, decisive, and confident. In 2025, the world will reward those who take action, set boundaries, and stand firm in their worth. If you want to be one of them, you have to let go of the need to be liked by everyone. Instead, focus on being respected by the right people. So here's the challenge for you. Stop being too nice. Stop giving away your time to people who don't appreciate it. Stop holding back your thoughts just to avoid conflict. Stop letting fear dictate your decisions. Because the moment you start valuing yourself, the world will too. Being nice and being kind may seem like the same thing, but in reality, they are fundamentally different. The way society often portrays them can make people believe that they are interchangeable, but understanding the distinction between the two can change how you navigate relationships, make decisions, and even determine your level of success. Being nice is often about pleasing others, avoiding conflict, and making sure everyone is comfortable, even at your own expense. Nice people tend to say yes when they want to say no. They avoid confrontation, suppress their opinions, and do everything in their power to keep the peace, even if it means sacrificing their own needs, boundaries, and values. Being nice is often about seeking approval and being liked, which can lead to a pattern of people-pleasing that drains energy and creates frustration. Kindness, on the other hand, is about doing what's right, even when it's hard. It's about having compassion for others while also having respect for yourself. Kind people are not driven by the need to be liked. They are driven by integrity, empathy, and honesty. They set boundaries because they know that enabling toxic behavior is not true kindness. They have difficult conversations because they care about people enough to tell them the truth. They know that sometimes the best way to help someone is not by giving them what they want, but by giving them what they need. One of the most important distinctions between being nice and being kind is that nice people avoid discomfort, while kind people embrace it when necessary. A nice person might tell someone what they want to hear to avoid an argument, even if it's not the truth. A kind person, on the other hand, will say what needs to be said, even if it's uncomfortable, because they know it's in the best interest of the other person. Think about a time when someone gave you constructive criticism. If they were being nice, they might have avoided telling you something important because they didn't want to hurt your feelings. But if they were being kind, they would have given you honest feedback to help you grow, even if it was difficult to hear. That is the difference. Another major difference between niceness and kindness is how people handle boundaries. Nice people tend to overextend themselves, agreeing to things they don't want to do because they feel obligated. They put other people's needs before their own, often to the point of exhaustion. They struggle to say no because they fear disappointing others. Kind people, however, understand that self-respect is essential. They set clear boundaries and stick to them. They understand that you can't pour from an empty cup, so they take care of themselves first. And the most important part, they do this without guilt because they know that real kindness isn't about being a doormat, it's about showing up as the best version of yourself. Another distinction is how each mindset impacts success. Nice people often get overlooked and taken for granted because they don't advocate for themselves. They don't ask for raises, they don't negotiate, and they don't speak up when they should. They think that if they work hard and are pleasant, they'll be noticed and rewarded. But that's not how the world works. Kind people, however, stand their ground. They are firm but fair. They know that success doesn't come from being agreeable all the time. It comes from being confident, assertive, and willing to take risks. They aren't afraid to ask for what they deserve, to voice their opinions, or to challenge the status quo. At the end of the day, niceness is about being passive, while kindness is about being strong. Niceness seeks validation, while kindness seeks truth. Niceness avoids conflict, while kindness faces it with grace and wisdom. The world doesn't need more nice people, it needs more kind people who are strong, honest, and unafraid to do what's right. People-pleasing is a trap, one that may feel good in the short term, but ultimately leads to frustration, exhaustion, and even resentment. It disguises itself as kindness, but in reality it's a habit rooted in fear, insecurity, and a need for external validation. It convinces you that keeping others happy is the key to being loved, respected, and accepted. But the truth is, people-pleasing will never bring you the fulfillment or happiness you seek. At its core, people-pleasing is about seeking approval. It's the belief that if you just say yes enough, avoid conflict, and always put others first, you will be liked and valued. But the harsh reality is that constantly trying to meet everyone's expectations only leads to losing yourself in the process. When you base your worth on how much others approve of you, you give away control over your own happiness. You end up making choices that don't serve you simply because you fear disappointing others. One of the most dangerous aspects of people-pleasing is that it teaches others how to treat you. When you never say no, when you always prioritize other people's needs above your own, you inadvertently send the message that your time, energy, and emotions are less valuable. You teach people that they can take advantage of your generosity without consequences. Over time, this creates imbalanced relationships where you are constantly giving and others are constantly taking. The most frustrating part, no matter how much you give, it's never enough. The people you bend over backward for may still criticize you, they may still ask for more, and even if they don't, you might find yourself feeling empty, unseen, and unappreciated. Why? Because people-pleasing isn't real connection. It's not based on mutual respect, it's based on fear. A major reason why people fall into the trap of people-pleasing is that they fear rejection or conflict. They worry that if they express their true feelings, set boundaries, or say no, others will be upset. But here's something to remember. The people who truly value and respect you will never expect you to betray yourself just to keep them happy. The people who get angry when you start asserting yourself were never truly interested in your well-being in the first place. Another reason why people-pleasing is so damaging is that it leads to resentment. You might think you're being nice by always saying yes, but if deep down you feel frustrated, drained, or unappreciated, that negativity builds over time. You might start feeling bitter toward the very people you were trying to please. The irony? The relationships you were trying so hard to maintain begin to feel like a burden rather than a source of joy. Breaking free from the trap of people-pleasing requires one important shift, understanding that your worth is not determined by how much you do for others. You are not a better person because you sacrifice yourself. You are not more lovable because you are always available. Real love, respect, and connection come from authenticity, not constant accommodation. It's time to start setting boundaries. Saying no does not make you selfish. It makes you self-respecting. Prioritizing your needs does not mean you don't care about others. It means you care about yourself too. And that is healthy. The moment you stop people-pleasing, something incredible happens. You gain control over your own life. You start making choices based on what is right for you rather than what will keep everyone else happy. You surround yourself with people who respect you for who you are, not just for what you can do for them. You build confidence, independence, and a sense of self-worth that isn't dependent on external validation. People-pleasing is a trap, but you don't have to stay in it. The key to breaking free? Recognizing that your voice, your needs, and your boundaries matter just as much as anyone else's. Stop seeking approval and start living for yourself. Respect is not something that is handed out freely, it is earned. And it is earned through strength, not submissiveness. Too often, people believe that by being agreeable, always saying yes, and avoiding conflict, they will be seen as kind, likable, and ultimately respected. But in reality, submissiveness does not command respect. It invites people to overlook you, take advantage of you, or see you as someone who can be controlled. True respect comes from having the courage to stand firm in your beliefs, to assert your boundaries, and to refuse to compromise on your self-worth. It is not about being aggressive or domineering, but about carrying yourself with confidence and certainty. People respect those who know who they are, what they stand for, and what they will and will not tolerate. One of the biggest myths about respect is that it comes from pleasing others. Many people, especially those raised to be accommodating or avoid conflict, believe that if they are nice enough, agreeable enough, or selfless enough, they will be valued. But in reality, people respect strength, not servitude. When you always submit, when you let others dictate your actions and decisions, you communicate that you are willing to put their needs above your own. And when you do that, people stop seeing you as an equal. Strength in this sense does not mean dominance or intimidation. It does not mean you have to be loud, forceful, or confrontational. Real strength is about self-assurance. It's about knowing that you do not need to shrink yourself, silence your voice, or suppress your opinions in order to be accepted. It's about standing your ground with quiet confidence even when others push back. Respect also comes from the ability to set boundaries and enforce them. Many people struggle with this because they fear rejection. They worry that if they say no too often or refuse to comply with others' expectations, they will lose relationships or be seen as difficult. But here's the truth. The people who truly respect you will not leave you for having boundaries. The ones who do were only there to benefit from your lack of them. Every time you allow someone to cross a boundary without consequence, you teach them that your limits do not matter. And when people believe your limits are flexible, they push them further. On the other hand, when you establish firm, unapologetic boundaries, you send a clear message. I respect myself, and I expect you to do the same. Another way to earn respect is by owning your choices. Submissiveness often comes from a desire to avoid responsibility, to let others decide. But respect comes from decisiveness, from being willing to take ownership of your actions, even if they lead to mistakes. People admire those who take control of their own lives, who don't wait for permission or approval to move forward. The workplace is a perfect example of how strength earns respect. The employees who speak up in meetings, who confidently share their ideas, and who take initiative without waiting to be asked are the ones who get noticed. Those who hesitate, who always defer to others, who never push back, they often get overlooked, not because they aren't capable, but because they don't project strength. The same principle applies to relationships, friendships, and everyday interactions. Respect is also tied to consistency. A strong person is reliable, not in the sense that they always do what others expect of them, but in the sense that their values and principles do not waver. When you are inconsistent, when you allow yourself to be pushed around in some situations, but stand firm in others, people learn that your strength is conditional. But when you are consistently firm, consistently self-respecting, consistently unwilling to compromise your dignity, people have no choice but to respect you. At the end of the day, the most respected people are not the ones who seek approval. They are the ones who move through life with certainty and self-worth, who do not fear standing alone if necessary. Respect is not about being the loudest or the most agreeable. It's about being grounded, unwavering, and true to yourself. So if you find yourself wondering why people don't respect you, ask yourself this: are you showing strength or are you being submissive? Because respect is not given to those who wait for permission. It is given to those who own their power and refuse to surrender it to anyone. Your time and energy are two of the most valuable resources you have. Unlike money, which you can earn back, once your time is gone, it's gone forever. And your energy, that too is limited. Every day you wake up with a certain amount, and how you spend it determines not only your productivity, but also your overall well-being. Yet too many people give away their time and energy carelessly to people who drain them, to tasks that don't serve them, to distractions that offer nothing in return. They say yes to commitments they don't want, entertain conversations that go nowhere, and pour themselves into relationships that take more than they give, and then they wonder why they feel exhausted, frustrated, or unfulfilled. You cannot afford to waste what is irreplaceable. Your time and energy should be treated like precious investments, spent wisely on things and people that bring value to your life. One of the biggest shifts you must make is understanding the difference between being busy and being productive. Just because your schedule is full doesn't mean your time is being used well. Many people mistake activity for progress. They feel accomplished simply because they're always doing something. But what matters isn't how much you do, it's whether what you do actually moves you forward. Ask yourself, are the things you are spending your time on helping you grow? Are they bringing you closer to your goals? Are they making you happier, healthier, or more fulfilled? If the answer is no, then why are you still giving them your energy? The same goes for relationships. There are people who energize you, who uplift you, challenge you, and bring out your best. And then there are those who drain you, who always need something from you but never give back, who leave you feeling depleted instead of fulfilled. Not everyone deserves access to your time and energy. It is not selfish to be selective. It is necessary. If someone constantly makes you feel exhausted, anxious, or unappreciated, you owe it to yourself to reevaluate that connection. The strongest, most successful people are not the ones who say yes to everyone. They are the ones who are ruthless about protecting their energy. Another way to guard your time and energy is to stop chasing validation. Many people waste energy trying to prove themselves, seeking approval from people who don't matter, trying to impress those who will never be satisfied. This is a never-ending cycle. The moment you tie your worth to someone else's recognition, you give them control over your energy. And the truth is, not everyone will appreciate what you do, no matter how much you give. So instead of chasing external validation, focus on living in alignment with your values. Distractions are another major thief of time and energy. Social media, mindless scrolling, unnecessary drama, these things consume your mental bandwidth without giving anything valuable in return. Every time you allow distractions to take over, you are trading your time for something that does not serve you. Imagine if you redirected that energy toward learning, growing, or pursuing your goals instead. The difference would be life-changing. Learning to say no is one of the most powerful skills you can develop. Many people struggle with this because they don't want to disappoint others. But every time you say yes to something that doesn't serve you, you are saying no to something that does. Saying no does not make you selfish, it makes you intentional. It allows you to prioritize what truly matters instead of letting other people dictate how you spend your life. Your time and energy are what shape your reality. If you give them away without thought, you will find yourself drained, unfulfilled, and wondering where your life went. But if you protect them, if you spend them wisely, intentionally, and with purpose, you will build a life that is meaningful, productive, and deeply satisfying. The choice is yours. Spend your time and energy wisely, or watch them slip away on things that don't matter. We live in a world where many people avoid tough conversations because they fear discomfort, conflict, or rejection. But the truth is, avoiding difficult conversations doesn't prevent problems. It only allows them to grow in silence, whether in personal relationships, friendships, or professional settings. Meaningful connections are built on honesty, trust, and the ability to navigate difficult discussions with respect and understanding. When you avoid tough conversations, you create a barrier between yourself and others. Small misunderstandings turn into resentment, unspoken needs become frustration, and assumptions take the place of real communication. Over time, this distance weakens relationships, making them fragile instead of strong. But when you choose to face uncomfortable discussions head-on, you open the door to deeper trust, mutual respect, and genuine connection. The strongest relationships, whether romantic, professional, or personal, are not the ones that never experience conflict. They are the ones where both parties feel safe to communicate openly, even when it's hard. Having tough conversations shows that you value the relationship enough to be honest, rather than allowing silence to create false peace. One of the main reasons people avoid difficult conversations is fear of how the other person will react. What if they get angry? What if they misunderstand? What if the conversation makes things worse? While these are valid concerns, the alternative, bottling up emotions, avoiding issues, or pretending everything is fine, leads to far greater damage over time. Healthy relationships require communication, and communication isn't just about easy conversations, it's about the difficult ones too. To navigate tough conversations effectively, you must first approach them with the right mindset. If you go into a conversation seeking to win or prove a point, it will quickly turn into a battle. But if you enter it with a genuine desire to understand, resolve, and grow, the conversation will lead to a stronger connection rather than a broken one. Here's what makes tough conversations productive instead of destructive. Listen to understand, not just to respond. Many people enter difficult discussions already planning what they will say next. Instead, focus on truly listening. What is the other person feeling? What are they trying to communicate? Listening doesn't mean you have to agree, but it does mean you respect the other person enough to understand their perspective. Communicate with clarity and respect. Tough conversations become toxic when emotions take over and communication turns into blame, accusations, or defensiveness. Instead of saying, "You never listen to me," try, "I feel unheard when I try to share my thoughts, and that's difficult for me." The difference is communicating your feelings without attacking the other person. Be honest, but also empathetic. There's a way to be direct without being cruel. Telling the truth doesn't mean you have to be harsh. It means expressing yourself in a way that is both honest and considerate. The goal is to solve the issue, not to hurt the other person. Don't fear discomfort. Growth happens there. Difficult conversations are rarely comfortable, but they are necessary. Growth, healing, and stronger relationships happen when two people are willing to sit in discomfort and work through it together. A little discomfort now is better than a broken relationship later. Set boundaries when needed. Some conversations reveal that certain relationships are no longer serving you. That's okay. Not every discussion will lead to reconciliation, but every discussion will bring clarity. If someone refuses to respect your boundaries or values, it's a sign to reconsider their place in your life. At the heart of every strong connection is the ability to communicate, even when it's difficult. Tough conversations may be uncomfortable, but they are necessary for growth, understanding, and deep, meaningful relationships. Choosing to have them rather than avoid them is what separates weak connections from strong, lasting bonds. Success is not handed to those who sit back and wait, hoping that their kindness alone will open doors. While being nice is an admirable quality, it is not enough to reach the highest levels of success. Success requires boldness. The ability to take risks, stand up for yourself, and make difficult decisions when necessary. It demands confidence, assertiveness, and the courage to step outside of your comfort zone. Many people are taught from a young age that being nice will get them ahead. They believe that if they are polite, agreeable, and accommodating, opportunities will naturally come their way. But the truth is, niceness without boldness often leads to being overlooked. Being agreeable might make you likable, but it doesn't necessarily make you respected. To succeed, you must be willing to speak up, take action, and pursue what you want with determination. Boldness is the trait that separates those who achieve their goals from those who settle for less. It is the willingness to take risks despite fear. It is the ability to ask for what you deserve rather than waiting for someone to offer it. Boldness means setting boundaries, making tough choices, and standing firm in your beliefs, even when it's uncomfortable. One of the biggest mistakes people make is equating boldness with arrogance or aggression. Boldness is not about being rude, pushy, or selfish. It's about having the confidence to take up space and assert yourself when necessary. True boldness is rooted in self-respect, not in overpowering others. It means advocating for yourself without apology, going after what you want without hesitation, and refusing to let fear dictate your choices. If you rely only on being nice, you may find yourself constantly giving while receiving little in return. You may hesitate to negotiate for a higher salary, fearing that you'll come across as difficult. You may avoid speaking up in meetings, worried that you'll be seen as too opinionated. You may say yes to everything, even when it drains you, because you don't want to disappoint others. But in doing so, you hold yourself back from reaching your full potential. Success requires more than just being liked. It requires being respected. And respect is earned through boldness, not just niceness. Being bold means having the courage to take initiative. Instead of waiting for permission or an invitation, you create your own opportunities. You ask for promotions, pitch ideas, and put yourself in situations that challenge you. You embrace discomfort because you understand that growth happens outside of your comfort zone. Boldness also means being willing to take risks. Success is never guaranteed, and fear of failure holds many people back. But those who succeed understand that failure is a necessary part of growth. They are not afraid to make mistakes because they know that every failure is a lesson that brings them closer to their goals. They take chances, knowing that even if they stumble, they will learn, adapt, and come back stronger. Another key aspect of boldness is setting boundaries. Nice people often struggle with this because they don't want to disappoint others. But without boundaries, you allow others to take advantage of your time, energy, and generosity. Successful people know when to say no. They understand that protecting their priorities and well-being is not selfish, it's essential. In the end, success is a balance of kindness and boldness. Being nice can open doors, but being bold is what allows you to walk through them with confidence. Boldness commands respect, earns opportunities, and drives success. If you want to achieve your goals, don't just be nice, be bold enough to chase them relentlessly.